الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. الله استغفر الله. استغفر الله الذي لا إله إلا هو. اللهم أنت السلام ومنك السلام. بارك يا ذا الجلال والإكرام. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قال الله سبحانه وتعالى في القرآن الكريم: أنهاكم التكاثر حتى زرتم المقابر. All the way to the end. These first two ayat though. قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم: من حسن إسلام المرء ترك ما لا يعنيه. أو كما قال عليه الصلاة والسلام. So in the ayat of Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, you're going to find out, you're going to visit your grave, it's going to happen, and then you're going to know. You're going to know what's important. You're going to know where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had truly placed value and where humanity and our own personal perception had falsely placed value. But you're going to know. Now, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions ilm, it's the haqq of that ilm. There's no distortion, there's no dilution, there's nothing. It's just pureness. There's this clarity that comes along with it. So when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that you and I are going to know something, know that we're going to know. And the knowing that happens after death is a different type of knowing, because now we're talking about not just ilm al-yaqeen, we're talking about ayn al-yaqeen. You are going to know because you are going to experience it. So Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam, he's telling us that if you want to know, like some from the excellence, because we are talking about ihsan, right? Inna Allah yuhibbul muhsinin. Allah Ta'ala loves those who strive for excellence. So this ihsan, so from this ihsan, this excellence of the Islam of a person, that submission to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that seeking of salam, is that he leaves off that which has no meaning for him. It doesn't concern him. You ever hear like Arabs are saying, yani, 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 yani? Yeah? Right? It means, yeah, all right, okay. Ma la ya'nihi. La ya'ni. It doesn't have any meaning for him. So now, how do you and I know? How do you and I know now what is supposed to have meaning? Because whatever doesn't have meaning for us, we're supposed to leave it. And that is from the excellence, potentially, of our Islam. We only know from the Quran and the Sunnah of Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam. We only know because there have been over 1400 years of Muslims practicing this deen of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and have established such a very clear precedent. Even to the extent of those who did not understand properly, if we are willing, Allah Ta'ala is always telling, Siru fil ard, right? Travel throughout the earth. Look and see what happened to the people that came before you. So trust me, there's nobody in this masjid, on this musalla right now. If you think your thinking is new, if you think that your perception of the world is new, trust me, it isn't. That's just your ego talking to you. You are not original. You may be unique, but that is only because of Allah. But in terms of what human beings do, it is not original. The same ridiculous nonsense takes place generation after generation. And on the opposite end of the spectrum, alhamdulillah, the same beauties and wonders in the life of a human being are unlocked by this deen of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But both ends of the spectrum and everything, every potential in between has been here before. So for those who are willing, take a look. See what happened to those who thought the way that you did, who came before you. What happened to them? Look at their endings. Look at their lives. Look at how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala chose to preserve or not to preserve their memory. Their quote unquote legacy, as everybody likes to say these days. Huh? What is the meaning? Because here people are thinking, oh, what is it? This doesn't mean this. No, it meaning like what is going to give your life meaning? People think it's about what I like, what I don't like, and this has meaning to me, and like this. No. What is going to give your life meaning? Meaning, what is going to give your death meaning? Meaning, what is going to give you, your existence, meaning when you go stand in front of your Rabb, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, on Yawm al-Qiyamah, the inevitable event. Because it's not what the vast majority of human beings are striving for, searching for, or even thinking about today. It doesn't have to do with politics. It doesn't have to do with finances so much. It doesn't have to do with this thing and all these things which are strictly attached to this dunya and are not perceived through the lens of the akhirah. So to help in this process, this is the reason why Uthman radiyallahu anhu, when he was Khalifa, Amir al-Mu'mineen, he was questioned, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, whenever you pass by graveyards, you always cry. We could be talking about Jannah, we could be talking about Jahannam. You don't cry. But we pass by the graves and talk about the graves and you start crying. Help us understand. He says, because it begins there. This is the understanding of Uthman radiyallahu anhu. He says it begins there. If everything goes well there, then everything after it will go well. If things go bad there, then may Allah Ta'ala make it easy for us as far as what happens after that. So he cries when he thinks about the grave. Subhanallah. How often do we think about graves? You know, during before COVID and after COVID, we set records, if you want to call it that, right? As far as how many deaths, like we were in here and I was talking nonstop almost, janazah after janazah after janazah. And you would see people in the masjid, Muslims, and they're laughing. They're on their phones. So my humble request, advice, is this for myself also. First and foremost, visit the graveyards. Not the women, not the children. This is not a family event. Don't go do it with your friends. This is not you, by yourself, in solitude. Because this is the month of solitude, believe it or not. I know with all the da'wats and everything, it doesn't seem like it, right? With all the socializing and everything, blah, blah. No, but this is the month of solitude. Go by yourself. Because when you do go, oh yeah, there'll be a lot of live people around you, but the dead one, that will be you and I by ourselves. The dua, it's beautiful. It comes in Muslim Sharif, the dua for visiting when you go to the graveyard. Assalamu alaikum ahlul diyar al-mu'mineen wal-muslimin. So your first thing you're going to do is you're going to give salams. Meaning what? They're hearing. You're giving them salams. And then there's a distinction, isn't there? Mu'mineen wal-muslimin. The believers and the Muslims. Which begs the first question, which one am I? Insha'Allahu bikum lahiqun. That Allah willing, that we are going to be joined with you. We're coming. سأكون معكم بعد قليل. We're going to be with you after a little while, after a short while. Nasalullah lana walakum al-afiyah. We are asking Allah, and actually the correct translation, because like one thing is to ask, but when we're talking to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for us, we're begging. We're begging. We're begging, and we're telling them, I'm begging for us, and we're begging for you. Oh Allah, we need afiyah. We need you to make this easy for us. So my dear respected brothers, elders in Islam, this month of solitude, this month of the Quran, this month of seeking the maghfirah, the rahmah, and the fadl of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this month that is for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this month which is in, Allah ta'ala is like, think about it, you talk about ceasefires, like Allahu Akbar, Muslims like ceasefire, see, what about this ceasefire? It's a 1 month ceasefire Allah ta'ala has granted us. I am going to hold off your enemy for you so that you can gain your strength, get your bearing, pull yourself together, find out what has meaning to you and focus on that. Because أَلْهَاكُمُ التَّكَاثُرُ حَتَّى زُرْتُمُ الْمَقَابِرُ كَلَّا سَوْفَ تَعْلَمُونَ ثُمَّ كَلَّا سَوْفَ تَعْلَمُونَ كَلَّا لَوْ تَعْلَمُونَ عِلْمَ الْيَقِينِ. Right? لَتَرَوُنَّ الْجَحِيمَ ثُمَّ لَتَرَوُنَّهَا عَيْنَ الْيَقِينِ ثُمَّ لَتُسْأَلُنَّ يَوْمَئِذٍ عَنِ النَّعِيمِ. Because on that day, we're going to be asked about all of these blessings. Every morsel, all the food, the houses, the cars, the jobs, every breath, every heartbeat, every blessing from our Rabb, the blessing of Islam, to be able to say that I'm a Muslim. You're going to be asked about it. What do we have to say in front of Allah? This is the month to develop those answers. This is the month to develop that relationship with Allah, with the Quran, with the deen of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. May Allah ta'ala make it easy for all of us. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allahumma inna nasaluka husnul khatima. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the most excellent of endings. Allahumma la aisha inna aisha al-akhirah. There is no life except the life in the akhirah. Rabbana atina fid dunya hasana wa fil akhirati hasana wa qina adhaban nar. اللهم إنا نسألك العفو والعافية والمعافاة. اللهم إنك عفو تحب العفو فاعف عنا يا كريم. ونسألك من فضلك يا ذا الفضل العظيم. صلى الله تعالى على خير خلقه سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين والحمد لله رب العالمين. جزاكم الله خيرا جزاء. السلام عليكم.